Hello everyone, welcome back to the Flix Files. My name's Roger. So last week I put up the first half of my Ridley Scott collection on Blu-ray and 4K. And Ridley Scott's one of my favourite directors of all time. He's directed two of my absolute favourite movies of all time, Alien and Blade Runner. And I've seen every movie that he's ever done. But I don't own every movie that he's ever done. As I've always said, I'm not a movie collector that just wants to buy every movie by a particular artist. I just buy movies that I like. So whilst I don't own every movie that Ridley Scott has ever directed, I've got a fair few. So I did the first half of that collection last Tuesday, and I'll put the link up here if you're interested in seeing that. And today I just want to go through the second half and just finish off the rest of this collection and show you what I've got. So some of them I've doubled up because I have the standard version and the 3D version. So I'll show you those as well. So I'm carrying on chronologically. So to continue from last week's video, the next film is 2005's Kingdom of Heaven, which stars Orlando Bloom. And this is a historical epic set during the Crusades. And it's a very, very good film. Ridley Scott is possibly the best world builder that's working in movies today. And I've heard him say a number of times in interviews that of all the films he's directed, this is his own personal favorite. It isn't mine, but it's still a very, very good film. And this version that I have is the director's cut, which clocks in at 3 hours and 9 minutes. And I can't remember exactly how much more footage was added. I'm thinking 40 minutes, because it was a fairly long movie beforehand. But this is one of the few instances where the director's cut version is significantly better, and it really enhances the film. And as of me recording this video, this has been announced as having a 4K release in a few months' time. So I am probably going to upgrade. I'm going to get the 4K version of this when it comes out and sell this Blu-ray. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to getting that. It'll be lovely to see this in 4K quality. So the next one, this was released a couple of years after. This is called American Gangster, which stars Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington. And this is, I've only seen this a few times, so it's not as clear in my mind as his other movies, but Denzel Washington is kind of a drug lord in Harlem, and Russell Crowe is a cop that goes undercover in an attempt to bring down his drug empire. So it's very much a kind of gangster, dangerous, gritty crime drama, and a very, very good one. And at the time, when I bought this, I still am, but a huge Denzel Washington fan. So I was kind of making it a mission to see as many of his movies as I could. And when I heard that he was working with Ridley Scott to make this movie, I obviously was desperate to see it, and I really liked it. So I had to pick it up. And then about 3 years after that, 2010, I think this was, Ridley Scott went back to doing historical epics, and he did Robin Hood. This is his version of Robin Hood with Russell Crowe. Very good film. I do like Robin Hood movies, but I do think that Russell Crowe is a little bit old to be playing Robin Hood, especially when this is meant to be kind of an origin story. He's not the Robin Hood that we all know and love until right at the end of this movie. So it's a real shame that he didn't make the proposed sequel that was going to happen with this. I did read that there was meant to be a sequel where he is robbing from the rich and giving it to the poor and doing Robin Hood things with his merry men. But alas, that never happened. But it's still a pretty good movie. I've got the director's cut version in a steelbook. I'm not normally a steelbook collector, but in this instance I did pick it up on steelbook, and I think it was because it was the same price as the standard version. It was just some offer that was on that particular day. So I just picked up the steelbook version. I thought, well, why not? This does have a 4K release, but I believe the 4K wasn't really much of an upgrade when I read the reviews of it. It didn't really praise it that much in terms of an uptick in detail and clarity, so I never bothered upgrading it. That's why it always pays to check out reviews of 4K releases before you put your hard-earned money down. But yeah, it's a fun film. There's some good sequences in it. It has a pretty decent supporting cast. Kate Blanchett is in it, and she's always worth watching in anything. So yeah, good film. I'm happy that I've got that in my collection. The next movie is Prometheus. Now then, this I followed very, very closely when it was in pre-production, because there was talk that Ridley Scott was going back to do a prequel to Alien, and I was incredibly excited about that prospect. The thought of Ridley not only going back to the Alien universe, but doing science fiction again. And of all the movies he did up to this point, this is his first science fiction movie since Blade Runner. So it was a huge event. It was a very, very exciting time when it got up to the point of this film being released. But as it progressed through its pre-production and its script stages, it kind of veered away from being an Alien prequel. And they started to talk about it as more of an offshoot of the Alien universe, and which is the film that we ended up with. And I remember being slightly disappointed with it at the time when I first saw it. And there were elements about it I really, really liked. The visuals, obviously. But I often pined for the Alien prequel that we should have got. But I did buy it. I've got the 4K version, and I also have the 3D release, because it is quite fun to watch in 3D, because I saw it in 3D originally at the cinema. And it does have some great sequences in it, but it's kind of a mixed bag. I'd love to say that I think it's fantastic and I'm in love with this movie, but I have a very sketchy history with it. I've actually read the original Alien prequel script that I think his name was John Spates wrote, that was a lot more like a true Alien prequel, that had the engineers in it, and the engineers looked like the space jockey in the original movie. So it was a lot more hardcore, and I often wished that was the movie that was made, but it was never meant to be, unfortunately. But I'm glad I've got it. It's a great disc on 4K, and the 3D is really well done, because unlike most 3D movies at the time, this was actually filmed in 3D. So it wasn't a post-conversion. So yeah, I'm happy that I've got that in 3D as well as 4K. And then about 2 years after that, so we're at 2014 now, he went back and did yet another historical epic. This time he covered the Moses story, and we have Exodus, Gods and Kings. And at the time, Ridley Scott was quoted as saying that every movie he would make from that point forward would be in 3D, because he really enjoyed working with 3D when he made Prometheus. And his very next movie, which was this, he also filmed this in 3D with his regular cinematographer at that time, Dariusz Wolski. And yeah, again, Ridley doing historical epics, it's got to be worth a watch. And there are some great moments in this film. And it's nice seeing Ridley tackle ancient Egypt and that period, and putting his visual style to that. And as a film, it's okay. It's not terrible, but it's not absolutely brilliant. It's kind of a middle ground, much like Prometheus was. But I'm happy that I've got it. It's a good Sunday afternoon movie, should we say. And it's quite fun to watch it in 3D. This is the Blu-ray that comes with the standard 2D version as well. So it's nice that I have that to fall back on if I didn't fancy sitting with 3D glasses on for 2.5 hours. Yeah, so that's that. Next we have, this was the very next year, so Ridley Scott's been quite a busy chap. But this is the Matt Damon science fiction movie, The Martian. And this is an excellent film. This was absolutely fantastic. I just loved it. I wanted to read the book that it was based on, but I never got around to it. But yeah, a terrific movie. The thing that really surprised me when I first saw this was how funny it was. It was almost like a science fiction comedy, but it has some great sequences in it, and it's very kind of scientifically accurate to a point. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I have the 4K and the 3D version because it is terrific in 3D, but the 4K is equally stunning, especially with all the sequences on Mars and the high definition range of the colors and the beautiful reds of Mars. It's a stunning picture and a great film. And I'm really happy that I've got it in my collection. So then 2 years after that, so we're up to 2017 now, Ridley did his sequel to Prometheus, which is called Alien Covenant. Again, I'd love to say this is a terrific film, but it has a lot of flaws in it. You can see that he was trying to make it more like a normal Alien picture after the backlash he had from Prometheus, but he didn't quite carry it off, unfortunately. Again, much like with Prometheus, there are some scenes in it that are quite enjoyable, but overall it was okay. And because it was an Alien movie directed by Ridley Scott, I kind of am unfavorably nice towards it, so I had to buy it on physical media. So I've got the 4K version. And then the next one we have is The Last Duel. And I think this was made, I want to say about 2020. I think they filmed this during the COVID pandemic, I seem to remember. This is the standard Blu-ray. I was going to get it on 4K, but at the time this was released on physical media, the 4K version wasn't available in England, so I just had to stick with the Blu-ray. But it's a terrific picture, and it's a very, very good film. And the thing I like about this movie, if you haven't seen it, is it tells the same story, but from 3 different perspectives. So we cover the same scenes 3 different times. And it's really, really good. And it's really interesting seeing the 3 different perspectives put together. So you kind of have to make up in your own mind who's telling the truth out of the 3. And it's got a terrific cast in it. Matt Damon and Adam Driver particularly are really good. And yeah, it's just a great film. Again, another historical, I wouldn't say epic, but it's another lavish historical movie from Ridley Scott. So yeah, I'm glad I've got it in my collection. And last but not least, I have one of my very latest 4K purchases, which is Gladiator 2. Now, this is a sequel that nobody really asked for. The original Gladiator is such a perfect movie that when I heard he was doing a sequel to Gladiator, I thought, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm happy that he's doing another historical epic. But I'd rather he did something more original than a sequel to a film that didn't really need it. But I did watch it on streaming, and I found it quite enjoyable. It wasn't as good as the original, I admit, but it was still pretty good. So yeah, I thought I'd pick it up on 4K. And it has some terrific action in it, and it's fairly interesting story. It's based around the son of Russell Crowe's character in the first movie, who's now a grown man. And throughout the course of the movie, he ends up being a gladiator himself. And Denzel Washington is in it, and he's kind of playing a similar character to what Oliver Reed played in the first movie. And yeah, it's okay. I'm glad I've got it. It's a terrific 4K. And yeah, that completes my Ridley Scott collection. The other movie that he did fairly recently that I've seen and really, really loved was Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. And I watched that on streaming when it was first released, but it's since been released as an extended director's cut, which I've not seen. And I'd love to see it, but I would rather buy it on physical media. But unfortunately, because it's owned by Apple, I have a feeling it will never get a physical release. It's going to be one of those movies that will languish on streaming, unfortunately, and we'll never get to own it as a physical copy, which is a real shame because I would have been very interested to see the extended version of that movie. Well, there we are. That's my Ridley Scott collection. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.